everybody, welcome to Pilates in Uphill. I'm Emma for those of you that don't know me, and today we'll be taking you through a nice Pilates session, gently focusing in on those deep core muscles, deep abdominal muscles and the pelvic floor. So let's start off with a standing warm-up. Just make sure you've got plenty of space around you, clear space. So if you've got a mat, allow it to come lengthways across the screen. So that we can, and then just step back from it so that you can see the screen front on for now, and then when we come to the floor you'll be on a side profile. That would be fantastic. So we'll start by bringing our feet underneath our hips so we find a really nice sturdy base to begin with. We'll allow the toes to point forwards and just take a moment to just shuffle your weight from one foot to the other. I appreciate there may be external noises, stuff going on around you, but see if you can take this time to really zone in on you and your body and how it's feeling right now. So this is some time for you. And we'll see if we can allow ourselves to find a real internal focus. So we've got the feet just underneath our hips. And we're going to see if we can make our weight go right into the centre of those 2 feet. And let's take a few nice gentle breaths there. Nice calm breaths. Feeling that we can connect to the whole of the foot. The toes don't need to have any weight in them, they can just jiggle around if they want to. We can allow there to be even weight between the balls of the feet and the heel. And then from there we'll gently connect up through the arches of the feet and find a little connection, a little drawing up, a little lift. As we find that, we'll notice that the knees probably start to lock upwards or in or backwards. We're going to see if we can just allow them to not lock. So there's a sense of not pulling back with the knees, a sense of softness in the knees. And then we'll bring our awareness to our pelvis, seeing if we can allow there to be a softness through the hips. So the pelvis is nice and level. We'll allow the pelvis to gently tip forwards, and then we'll gently tip the pelvis back. And if you imagine that the pelvis is a bucket of water filled to the top, you're just gently tipping a little bit of water out of the front of the bucket and tipping a little bit of water out of the back of the bucket. And we'll take it through those 2 extremes. And then we'll find that place where it feels as though our bucket of water is nice and level. Tailbone's descending downwards and the rest of the spine is lengthening upwards. So we feel that the head floats up towards the space above us as if we were a puppet on a string. As you find that length, notice an engagement through those core muscles. So we have a sense of being lifted through the deep abdominal muscles, a sense of the pelvic floor drawing upwards for us to just gently support us. So we're not gripping, but we're lifting, we're drawing through the muscles. Once we find that sense of lift and engagement, let's allow the breath to come and go nice and gently. Now I want you to see if you can really feel your rib cage. So if you imagine your lungs like 2 big balloons inflating, see if you can draw in as much breath as you can there. Just taking 2 more like that. Last one. And check you've got that little connection through those core muscles, and we'll allow the arms to rest down by our sides, taking some shoulder rolls so the shoulders gently lift. And we roll those shoulders back and down. And we'll do that a few times, gently easing the shoulders back and down. And one more like that, the shoulders ease towards one another and sink down towards the tailbone. And as the shoulders glide down the back and the head floats up towards the space above us, we'll take a deep breath and allow the right arm to float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arm floats back down. We change over to the other side. And softening the arm down. And again, just checking that you've got that little bit of softness through the knees. A little engagement through those deep abdominal muscles, pelvic floor, and a little connection through the arches of the feet. Let's allow as one arm starts to lower, the other one can start to lift. And we'll just keep the breath flowing with that. Allow the breath to be nice and smooth and continuous. And then bring both the arms back down by your side. We'll take a breath and allow the right ear to dip down towards the right shoulder. And then bringing the head into the centre, up and over to the opposite side. And again, the head gently lifts up and over to the right side. And again, up and over to the second side. And then we'll bring the head into the centre and we'll let the head gently rotate round to the right side. And coming back to the centre, rotating round to the opposite side. And once again on each side. And we'll bring the head into the centre, we'll tuck the chin in towards the chest and we'll allow the head to gently become heavy. And it'll start to roll us down through the spine. So we're going to come down through the vertebrae bit by bit, piece by piece. Take a nice deep breath. And then as we breathe out, we'll roll up through the spine. As the head comes on top, we'll lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down and allow both arms to float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down. And then again releasing through the top of the head, rolling gently down through the spine. Coming down bit by bit, piece by piece. Take a nice deep breath there. And then breathing out as we roll up once again through the spine. Head comes on top, last thing of all. Lifting the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down. Softening through the knees and allow the arms to go nice and wide. And lengthening the legs from there. Release through the top of the head, rolling gently down through the spine. Nice deep breath at the bottom. Breathing out as we roll up through the spine. Head comes on top, we lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down, softening through the knees, let the arms open out to the side. And then lengthening the legs, let's take our side bends from there, up and over to the right side. So we let the head extend out and away as the fingertips glide down the side of the leg. And we come through the centre. Again, head extends out and away. So really thinking about pulling yourself up and out. And then adding the top arm in if you feel ready to, up and over. Softness through the knees, up and over to the second side. One more on each side. And then as we come through to the centre, let's draw the fingertips in towards one another. Bringing the hands just in front of the breastbone, take a deep breath, let the shoulders glide down the back, and we'll allow the ribcage to gently rotate round to the right side. Breathing in as you return back to the centre, and then rotating round to the second side. Breath in as you return back to the centre, and again we keep that going. Now, if you feel you want to, we can allow the elbows to go wide and let the fingers point up towards the sky. So as we bring the arms out a little bit wider, it will make things a little bit more intense for us. When we get there, we need to really focus in on keeping the shoulders gliding down the back. Last one, finishing off there and cutting the hands in front of us. As if you've got a tray right in front of you in both hands. Let those shoulders glide down the back, take a deep breath, and we'll allow both the arms to open out to the side. Breathing in as the arms return. And again, the arms open out to the side. Breathing in as the arms return. We'll allow the right arm to gently circle around and come above the head. Keep whatever you've got balanced in your hand balanced, so you're not going to spin anything as you circle around. And then circling back the way you came. Changing over to the other side. Keeping your tray balanced in your hand. And then circling back. Once again on each side. And hold it for me there. Now, we're going to bring in a bit of balance work. So we're going to allow one foot to lift away from the floor. And we lift. Keep the hands where they are for me. And floating the leg down. Changing over to the other side. Opposite foot lifts. Now you've got that strength through the core. That's keeping you nice and stable. Feel as though you're growing roots through the grounded foot. As the knee opens, we'll glide the shoulders together and allow the arms to open. And then we'll float the leg down as we bring the feet back together. Allow the leg to lift, arms open out to the side. Drawing that leg in and floating back down. Now, from here, we'll open the knee. As the knee draws in, the arms draw in. Floating the leg down. Changing over to the other side. So we'll see if we can coordinate it so it happens together. And I didn't do that on the first one. Let's allow the knee to open out at the same time as the arms. Seeing if you can keep that grounded foot really grounded. Now, I don't know whether I'm feeling ambitious, but let's give it a go. The right leg lifts and the right arm circles around the head. Ooh la la. We come on back. We change over to the other side. Let's see how we like that. Just for funsies, you understand. No pressure. If you're thinking, that's ridiculous, Emma, don't be so silly. Just keep going with whatever version of this you're doing. Last one. And releasing the arms down by your side. Allow that right foot to just come just in front of the left foot. So you're kind of pigeon-toed. And we're going to take our balance there. Look to bring your weight into both feet evenly. Shoulders glide down the back. Let's open up through the arms. Shoulders glide down. Taking a breath there. And releasing. See if you can take that leg across the other leg. This opposite arm, so the right leg's come across you, the left arm's going to reach up and over. And let's do the same thing on the other side. And then if you can from there, we're going to take a little roll down through the spine. Check you're soft through your knees, so don't lock into your knees. Those of us that are hypermobile have a tendency to pull that knee back. We want to just unlock those knees. It's challenging, I'm not going to lie. It's quite a difficult balance one. And then we get a really awesome stretch down the hamstrings and the outsides of the legs. And we're rolling up through the spine. And allow that leg to lift. And floating down. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So the left foot comes in front. We'll find that balance. Don't worry if it's wobbly. It's meant to be. It's a challenge. So we let the shoulders glide down the back. Finding the weight evenly between the 2 feet. So sometimes I find that I'm all the way back on my back foot. And we want to see if we can be evenly between the 2 feet. As we open out through the arms, glide those shoulders down. As the shoulders glide down, they glide towards the tailbone, and then you can really switch into those core muscles, and that will help support you. Bringing the arms back down, taking that foot across your other leg, taking a deep breath, and we're going to allow the right arm to come up and over. And reach for the sky, and then reach all the way over. Oh, low. And then we're changing over to the other side. Just a little extend. And as we come through the centre, we'll let the head dip forwards and roll down through the spine. If you've got a slip disc or scoliosis, not scoliosis, osteoporosis, you might not want to do your forward folds, in which case whenever I do forward folds, just do a little squat for me instead. So you can come down to this one without folding, keeping long through the spine. Now, we're not locked into the knee, we're getting a really nice sense of stretch down the outside of that leg. Scoop in, come on up. Marvellous work. Let's allow those feet to be just hip distance apart. So we'll have a little look at that squat action from here. We're going to sink the bottom back behind us, hinge at the hips and hinge at the knees. Sinking back, squeeze in through the tummy and we lift. And we sink on back. Now, there's a little squeeze in the bottom. Here it is. Bottom squeezes to come on up. So it's as though you got all the way down there and just realised there were stinging nettles just underneath you. Bring it on up with the bottom squeeze. Now, let's add some little leg lifts in. So we'll sink on back. This time as we push up, we'll bring the right foot all the way up. And then we'll push back to a Superman pose. Reaching. Oh, I did a bit of a cheat there, I'm not going to lie. I held the wall. Come on in. And again, sinking back and down. And we lift and push the leg back. And come on in. Sinking back, just one more on each side. And last one. And finishing off there. Well done. Coming back round to face me, if you're on the side. We'll take a deep breath, crossing the arms, allow the arm to open out. So you're going to cut the space with your thumbs, drawing the hands in. We'll go the other way. Left arm goes high, right arm goes low. It doesn't matter if you went the opposite way last time, it's fine. And again, we change over, high and low. So generally I'm mirroring you in these exercises, but if you'd rather go the same way as me, it's absolutely fine. As long as you keep even on both sides. Finishing off there. And as we come in, let's give ourselves a big hug. And then we'll just take a little bit of flexibility through the upper back. Now we've really got to connect into the core as we think about doing this. So I'm just going to show you on the side. We'll tuck the chin in, we'll let the head become heavy, taking that little upper curve, squeezing in through the tummy, lift the breastbone, lifting up for the sky. And then again, coming through the centre, tuck the chin in, let the head be nice and heavy. Nice deep breath there. And tailbone stays descending down as you allow yourself to lift through the breastbone. Good. And releasing there. Let the arms release. Give them a good shake out. And then we're going to come round to the other side of the mat, to the end of the mat. And we'll take a little roll down through the spine, releasing through the top of the head, rolling down through the vertebrae. And we'll bring ourselves onto hands and knees from there. So we've got our hands nice and wide, spread nice and wide there. Let's take a little cat stretch just to extend into the back. So we've got the back pushing up. And then we'll lengthen the head and the tail away from one another, shoulders glide down the back. And again, we push the back up into the sky, head drops between the arms, tailbone points down, and we lengthen out and away. And one more, pushing the back up into the sky, tailbone points down. Shoulders glide down the back, head extends out and away, tailbone stretches in the opposite direction. Now take a deep breath for me there. And as you breathe out, opposite arm to leg extend away. Breath in as the arm and the leg return. Good, keep that going for me. I'm losing the mat here. There we go. So we'll allow opposite arm to leg to extend away. A little squeeze through the bottom when you get to that extension. Feeling as though if I came and put a cup of tea on your lower back here, you wouldn't spill a drop. So keeping that really nice and stable for me. One more on each side. And then we're going to add our spine twists in, to add our thread in the needle. So we lengthen the leg and the arm away, allow the arm to open out to the side, and we'll see if we can give it a little reach up. And then we'll weave the hand through. And then drawing the arm back in, changing over to the other side. Opposite arm to leg extends away. Draw that knee in, arm reaches up for the sky, and threading the hand through. Now, this time if you feel ready to, we'll lengthen the opposite arm to leg away. The arm opens out to the side, keep the leg lifted, and then spiral through. Whoops, see if you can keep really balanced so we don't drop onto our shoulder there. And changing sides. So we'll keep the leg lifted, opening out, and coming gently through. And hold it for me there. Let's tuck the toes under, and we're going to lift the bottom nice and high. We're going to come into an upside down V shape, so we're letting the head be nice and heavy, spread the fingers nice and wide. Then from there, we're going to allow ourselves to start dropping into the heels. So the heels start to drop towards the floor. As they do, we allow those shoulders to glide deeper down the back. We're scooping in through the tummy and allowing the tailbone to stretch away from us. Spread the fingers nice and wide. And then allow your weight to come forwards. Now, we're going to need to walk our hands a little bit further forwards so that we've got a nice long angle from the hands to the shoulders. The shoulders are right above the hands. And then the shoulders to the heels, you've got a nice long line. If you start to feel as though your back is feeling uncomfortable here, we lower the knees. We make sure we're scooping up through the tummy, so the tummy's not releasing down. It's got a real sense of being scooped up, up, up. We'll take 2 more breaths there. Let's allow those shoulders to really glide down the back. And if anybody's feeling really ambitious, one foot gently lifts. And we float back down. And we change over to the other leg. Foot lifts. Look to keep the hips nice and still, no strain in the back. You can do the same thing with the knees down. Leg extends away, drawing in, leg extends away. And finishing there. Sit back onto your heels, lengthen the arms in front of you, rest the forehead and breathe. Good, let's take a little bit of an extension into the side of the body here. So we'll take the hands around to the left side. Allow the right hand to really reach across you. Feel as though you're really pulling through the right hip. Squeezing in through the tummy, nice and deep with the breath. Find that connection in the pelvic floor. And we draw gently across, reaching that left arm, pulling back through the left hip. And then walking the hands back into the centre. Now from here, I just want to take a little bit of opening through the hip. So we've got options of how we can make this more intense for us. So we'll start off by taking the right foot forwards and the foot's just below the knee, and we'll take a little tipping forwards and back with the pelvis, just like when we were doing our bucket of water earlier, just gently tipping forwards and gently tipping back. And then from there, you can either keep that going for me, or from there, if you want to, shuffle the foot a little bit further forwards. So as we take our weight forwards, we can bring our opposite hand down to the floor on the outside of the foot, and the knee is still just above the ankle, it's not over the ankle. And from there, we can allow the hip to really relax and release, really push forwards. If you're feeling like you want a bit more stretch from there, tuck the toes under and lift the back knee, press into that back heel. Getting that nice long stretch across the front of the hip. And you can use this opposite arm to come down, and it kind of keeps the knee in line. And lowering that back knee, changing over legs for me. So we'll sweep that left leg forwards. And again, we can start off with a little tipping forwards and back, gently rocking through the pelvis. And then let's allow ourselves, either keep that going for me or take the foot a little bit further forwards, and then we'll ease into that stretch. And again, knee above the ankle. Maybe one hand rests down, maybe it doesn't, maybe both hands rest down. It's a marvellous thing either way. And we'll allow the back toe to tuck under. We'll allow that leg to lift and then press into the back heel as you allow the pelvis to just start to respond to gravity as it starts to just soften down towards the floor. And releasing there, let the knee come down. And let's allow ourselves to come all the way to the floor. We'll take our swan exercise from here. So we'll allow the hands to go nice and wide, and we'll let the nose hover just an inch away from the floor. We're going to scoop in through the tummy, and we're going to allow the shoulders to glide down the back. We'll take a nice deep breath. Shoulders glide down the back, head extends out and away, breastbone gently lifts away from the floor. Breathing in as we float back down. So the fabulous thing about this exercise, I think, is you can really feel if your tummy starts to push down into the floor, and you can really get that feedback from the ground when you're pulling up and drawing the belly button away. At the same time, the tailbone is stretching towards the heels. So we're not lifting the bottom all the way of the floor, we're going to allow it to really extend. So it's taking 3 more for me. If for whatever reason you can't lay on your front, you can do the same thing here, but really being mindful that we're using the breastbone extending forwards and we're not collapsing into the lower back. Yeah, we're really looking to just work into the upper spine there. Last one there, allow yourself to sit back onto your heels. Lengthen the arms in front of you, rest the forehead and breathe nice and gently. And then let's allow ourselves to come onto our side. So we'll allow ourselves to be as lengthened as long as we can. We'll allow the shoulders to come on top of one another and the hips to come on top of one another. From there, we'll take a nice deep breath and we'll stretch and extend the legs away from us. Hang on, I don't feel like I'm on the mat completely. So we'll stretch the legs away, allowing ourselves to really lengthen and extend. And this top hand, it might want to rest on the floor to start off with to find the balance, but after a little while you might be able to let it rest by your side, and that's marvellous. So we're here, we're stretching and lengthening. Notice the bottom legs lifting and extending away from the floor. If you feel as though the neck is feeling really uncomfortable here, do make sure it's resting down onto the bottom arm. If it's really, really causing you grief, rest the bottom leg down, allow the bottom leg to be bent and resting on the floor. But if you're happy to and there's no pinching in the lower back, we'll keep both the legs lengthening. We'll just allow that top leg to take 3 little circles there. So 3, 2, the top shoulder glides down the back. 1, and then we'll change the direction of the circle, and if you can, just let the arm reach up for the sky, seeing if you can keep the arm really nice and stable. Maybe you can see it in the corner of your eye. And then float those legs down, softening through the knees. Scooping in through the tummy, we'll tip the top hip gently forwards. Take a nice deep breath and we'll allow the top knee to gently lift. And lower. lower. Just one more like that. And then gluing the knees together will allow both feet to lift, lower, lift. This time I'll hold it up there, allow the top knee to lift, extend away, drawing the toe back in and bring the knee back down. Good, keep this going for me. Now you're thinking about the bottom leg staying lifted. Okay, so we've got a few things that we're trying to do here. We're trying to keep the core engaged, keep the pelvis nice and still. But this bottom thigh is resting on the floor. We'll stretch the leg away. See if you can keep this knee nice and still. So it's just about stabilising into the leg there. Stabilise, stabilise, extend. Last one. Floating down. Like you're on a bike, a one-legged bike. Cycle the leg forwards and come on back. A one-legged bike. And then taking that backwards. I don't think that one-legged bike would work. Let's take hold of that foot. Bringing the foot close to the bottom, stretching the knee away. And as you're there, just glide your top shoulder down the back. Let the hips gently tip forwards, pulling that knee back. Nice strengthening through the core. And then allow both the legs to release. Bring both the arms forwards. If you've got a cushion or something close to hand, you can pop it under your head now. If not, just rest it onto the floor. Taking a nice deep breath. Allow the top arm to gently open. Eyes are fixed on the hand. And then we'll breathe in as the arm returns. So if you haven't got a huge amount of room, you can just bend through the elbows, allowing the arm to gently open. Breathing in as the arm returns. Just one more. And then coming up onto that elbow. So the elbow comes underneath the shoulder, and we're going to allow the hips to be on top of one another. Now, you can allow the knees to be in front of you and the feet to be in line with the pelvis, but if you're feeling a bit more ambitious today, let's bring the knees in line with the pelvis. So we're just going to do 3. We're lifting through the rib cage. We're going to allow the shoulder to glide down the back. Now the head's extending out and away. I don't think you can see that well in this top, but I'm trying not to be sort of scrunched in my neck. I'm trying to find lots of space. We're lifting up through the rib cage. Now for some of us, we're already feeling the work. We're feeling the shoulder working for us, we're feeling the core engaging, and it's a marvellous thing. We can stay here and be really poised and powerful. For the rest of us, if you're feeling like you want to go for it, pelvis lifts, arm reaches high. This is 3. And we're floating down. And 2. I may have lied. I'm thinking we'll stay up there and we'll bring the hand through. Just a little thread of the needle. Gently rotating through. Eyes follow the gaze. No, eyes follow the hand. Last one. And softening down. Let's switch around to the other side straight away. So again, we'll line up in the same way. Knees in line with the pelvis, elbow underneath us, rib cage is lifted. Take a nice deep breath, shoulders gliding down the back. We'll let the top arm lift. And we'll breathe in as we float back down. Again, we lift. Now really work that shoulder blade down the back. Make sure it's not lifting up towards the ear. One more, hold it for me here and floating through. Gently opening out. Again, watching the hand as we go. And softening down all the way to the floor. Nice long line. Hips are on top of one another, shoulders are on top of one another. Take a nice deep breath and stretch those legs away. So again, if you need to hold on to the floor, do. Stretch through that top hip. Allow that top hip to really lengthen away from you. Taking a nice deep breath. And as we breathe out, top leg circle. So same as you were doing on the other side. If you need the bottom leg to be bent, bend in through the bottom knee and allow the right foot to rest onto the floor. If there's any pinching in the lower back or if there's any pain in the neck, let's allow the arm to lift up and we'll change the direction of the circle. Notice if you're suddenly rocking your arm forwards and backwards. We want to see if we can keep it nice and still. Hips stay nice and still. And floating the legs down, softening through the knees. Squeezing in through the tummy, tip the top hip forwards. And with that connection in the tummy, we're going to allow that top knee to lift. So the knee gently lifts. Try to keep this hip really nice and stable and still. There should be some work in the old buttock there. And then we'll glue the knees together and allow both the feet to lift. And lower. 2 more like that. And then we're going for those knee lifts. So the knee lifts, keep those toes lifted. That's where the challenge is, keeping the core in, keeping the toe lifted. And then we'll let the knee lift. And you can either lift and lower from here, or if you're happy to, extend that leg away. See if you can keep this knee nice and still. And draw the knee back in. And again we lift, extend away. Good. And floating down. Now if you've got as high as you can with those toes, push even further with this leg. It's not going to go any further, but it's going to help you to keep the energy lifting up. 2 more. Last one. And floating gently down. Taking hold of that foot and stretching the thigh away from you. So if you find it really difficult to grab the foot from here, allow yourselves to wrap a band around the foot, and then we'll just stretch out through. That should allow you to get hold of the foot. Stretching out through the knee. And release in there. Again, grab that cushion if you want the cushion and pop it under your head. Head relaxes down. Take a deep breath and allow that top arm to gently open. Breathing in as the arm returns. And again, allowing that arm to open out. Drawing the arm back in. And taking 2 more like that. And just allowing yourself to come onto your back. Allowing your hip bones and pubic bone to come level with one another from there. Hips and pubic bone are level, softening into the rib cage, drawing in through the tummy. So we'll take a nice deep breath, arms rest down by our sides and shoulders melt down into the ground. As you breathe out, we're going to allow the right leg to slide away from us. Breathe in as the leg returns. Changing over to the other side, opposite leg stretches away. Breath in as the leg returns. Now, as that leg extends away, we'll allow the opposite arm to lengthen up and over the head. Breathing in as the arm and the leg return. Changing over to the opposite side. This time allow both the arms to lengthen up towards the sky, bringing the feet back onto the floor. The right knee's going to open out to the right side, hips are going to stay really nice and stable and still. Breathe in as the leg draws back in. And then we'll change over to the other side. So as that right knee opens out to the side, we can allow the left arm to open out. Breathing in as the arm and the leg return, changing over to the opposite side. Good, once more on each side, and then we're going to combine the two exercises. So we'll allow the right leg to stretch away from us as the left arm extends up and over the head. We breathe in as the arm and the leg return. As that knee opens out to the side, the same arm, the opposite arm, opens out. So the left leg extends away as the right arm extends up and over the head. And we keep that same leg and arm moving. Knee opens out to the side, right arm opens out to the side. Next option, if you fancy it, as the leg and the arm extend away, we breathe out, breathe in as you draw the arms back in, but allow the foot to just lift so the knee hovers above the hip socket. Then you've got the leg hovering off the floor as you allow the knee to open out to the side, floating the foot down as you bring the arm back by your side. Lengthen the leg and the arm away. Draw everything back up and in. Knee opens out. Floating back in. Now, from here, if you want to, you can press the lower back into the floor and allow both legs to lift. So either keep going with what you were already doing, or we'll move on to this option. Back's pressing into the floor, there's no strain in the lower back and the tummy's pulling in. Right leg, left arm extends away. Breathe in as the leg and the arms return. Knee opens out to the side as the opposite arm opens out. Coming back to the centre. Opposite leg to arm extends away. Coming back in. Knee opens out as the arm opens out. Let's do once more like that. And the knee gently opens out. One more. And bringing the knees in towards the chest. And we'll take a nice little stretch into the hip flexors there. So we'll allow the left knee to hug in nice and tight, and we'll slide the right leg away from us. Stretching that leg out and away. So you might want to hold on around the back of the thigh, especially if your knee feels a little bit sensitive. And just take a moment to let those shoulders melt down into the ground. Let yourself really release into the pelvis, let the hip become nice and relaxed. And then we'll draw that leg in and we'll change over to the other side, sliding the opposite leg away from us. Now, slide the left leg in, place the foot onto the floor, extend the right leg to the sky and hold on around the back of the thigh. Now, if you've got a band or a belt or something, you might want, got hair coming in my mouth. We can allow the leg to lengthen up towards the sky and we can wrap the band around the foot and then hold on to the ends. If you haven't got a band or anything, then you just hold on around the back of the thigh. But some people find that their arms aren't long enough to reach the leg. So we do want, if we can, to find that full extension. Now, squeeze in through those core muscles, let the lower back press into the floor. Maybe the leg eases a little bit closer towards us. Let's allow the hands to come away. Keep the back pressing into the floor, keep the belly button squeezing. We're going to lower that leg towards the floor. We're going to keep the back pressing into the floor. So notice when you find that place where the back starts to pull away, and then we draw the leg back in. And another one. Just one more. And then from there, you're going to bend at the knee, and we're going to take ourselves back into that neutral spine position, hip bone and pubic bone level. We're going to do the same action with the thigh bone, except for it'll be the toe that will be dipping down, and you're going to keep the natural curve in the lower back, so the natural curve stays the same. Just 2 more. Now either take 3 more like that, or we're going to work into the 2-legged 100 position. So we'll press the lower back into the floor. We'll allow the second leg to lift. We'll dip the toe down and lift. Dip the opposite toe down and lift. And again. If you're working with one leg lifted, change over to the other leg now. If you're working with 2 legs lifted, float that right leg down, keep the left leg lifted and return to neutral. Squeezing in, rib cage sinks down, left toe dips down, breathing in as we lift. So notice the change in the challenge. We want to keep the tailbone lengthening away, keep the hips and pubic bone level and the natural curve in place. Oh, I lost count, I think that's 3. From there, we'll hug the leg in, push the lower back into the floor, stretch the leg away, so find that full extension through the leg. The shoulders melt down into the ground. So now with that pressing into the ground, that squeezing through the core, let the arms release. And again, we're going to lower the leg down. So I forgot to say, in this scissor action, I often suggest that you play around with whether you're flexing your foot or you're pointing your foot. Some people get cramp if they point their foot for too long. So making sure that you're just playing around with it, or you can just let the foot do nothing, be relaxed. And finishing off there, taking that foot across the right knee, let the left knee fall open to the side, and you can press that knee away from you. If you want more challenge, weave the hands around the right thigh, ease the leg in towards you. Nice and deeply as we ease ourselves into that stretch. If you find it difficult, again, to get hold of this foot, you can always wrap your band around the leg, or you can place the foot on a wall, so coming nice and close to a wall. And releasing there, let's change over to the other leg. So I'm just going to show you what that would look like on the wall. I'd bring the leg across and I'd place my foot onto the wall. And then as I feel as though I'm easing into the stretch further, I'd shuffle closer to the wall. There isn't really a delicate way of doing it, I don't think. And then I get a much more intense stretch. And releasing from there, just allow yourself to come onto your side, pushing onto your hands, and we'll come round to a crouch position. So we'll tuck the toes under from there. And we're going to bring ourselves up to standing in a way that suits us best, pressing the heels into the ground, let the head be heavy. We'll start to roll gently up through the spine, coming gently up through the vertebrae. Head comes on top, last thing of all. Take a deep breath there, reaching really nice and tall. Breathing out and let it all go. Give it a good shake up. Well done, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. So I'll see you another time. Well done.